Hi, everybody. It's Linda G. And guess who I'm with? Kerri O'Donnell, who's a Tarot soul writer. And
Hello?
I'm going to post her YouTube on the bottom of this when we put it up. And you can schedule a reading from her through there. And she can probably put you in within the month, unlike me, who's next October. I don't know. I just don't know. But anyway, I haven't yet had a reading with her, but after this, I'm gonna book a reading. And somebody recommended, I don't know which one of you guys did, and I saw her show and I was like, oh, she's good. You know, it's not because you follow what I say. I could tell you really hit what was going on. Can you give us a little background about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I started as a tarot card reader, just straight up. And I worked back in the day, this is 20 years ago, the psychic chat lines and that sort of thing, because
Oh
that
my
was the
God.
only way. I don't know if you remember those, like the
But
real
what made you know you were psychic?
now that goes back since the beginning. I mean, I've always been really connected. And I felt like as a kid, I was actually more connected than I was as a young adult. I went into teaching for 25 years. I raised a family. And during those years, I felt like I was sort of losing it a little bit. And that's when I think after 9/11, it was almost like everything sort of came back online for me. Like, remember how you were so connected and remember the messages that you had. And it's been this journey of first it started with the tarot reading, then I really started with automatic writing, but it wasn't until recently that I put those two together. And
Right.
that's, yes, my own form of channeling, kind of using the cards plus what I'm getting through the writing. And it's funny because that's when things started to take off a little bit for me. It was almost like my guides were like, okay, it took you 57 years, but you're finally here. Now let's go.
Right,
Uh,
right.
so, and that's where I am right now.
Well, girlfriend, and so how long have you been on YouTube? Excuse me.
2020, I started my channel.
2020. Okay.
I was very inspired by you, and
Oh, thank
I
you.
used to watch like Rosie, the tarot
Oh, I
investigator.
loved her. I
I
loved
love
her.
Rosie. I love her, and just a lot of the really early ones. And I was very inspired. And then my husband one day said, "You know, you could do one of those channels." And I have to give him credit where credit is due. And I decided to try it, but it's been a journey because I had to feel more relaxed and I had to get used to it. And, you
Yeah.
know, you have to
And
build a thick
sometimes when you're
skin.
on, yeah, it's so
Yeah.
natural now for me. But initially, I remember being stiff as a board. And
Yep.
also, that makes it harder for them to send messages to you when you're in a stalemate, kind of like frozen.
Yep. It's true. So it's taken me all this time really to, I guess, come into my own and to really trust what I'm doing and what I'm receiving. And so I'm on the path like everyone else. So I'm just
Yeah.
happy to be here and to
Yeah.
serve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My I was introduced by Kirsten Langston,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
champagne.
She's awesome too.
In fact, she's coming out here Tuesday. We're going to have lunch. But
Nice.
her and when the guide said I was going to do this, I was very like, God, no, I'm not. I don't want to get up and brush my hair, put on eye makeup and stuff. And they said, Linda, you'll help calm them down. So it's just really, it's not just me. There's other ones on, but it's really gotten big now.
Oh, absolutely.
There's a new
Absolutely.
person every day, it seems like.
Oh, yeah. And it's all because of people like you when you started, because
Oh,
you've
thank
really
you.
built that community and helped people come
Well,
together.
I get this all the time, and people that I read, they say, Linda, I'm going to tell you, you really did calm me down.
Yeah, you
Because
really
they
did.
said for sure he wasn't going to win. I kept assuring people, but that night it was close.
I remember you. You were like, what has happened?
I
How have you
started having a
forsaken
panic
me?
attack.
Yeah,
Yeah. But
yeah.
then my friend in Australia, uh, I just went blank. She's
Lena?
huh?
Lena?
Not
What?
Lena. It was you know who I'm talking about. She's really good too. Anyway,
Oh, Marianne?
Marianne, she did a video that calmed me down. She goes, you guys, I know it looks bad, but she had more faith than I did. I will be honest with you. And
Yeah.
then my friend Dan wrote me and said, don't worry. because now it's going to be the Biden ones coming in, the mail-in. And remember, Trump was desperate to stop it in midstream.
I know.
Stop
Like,
now.
yeah,
No more
let's stop
counting.
counting it. Yeah, and I remembered, now here's a thumbs up for you, because you said in that moment you might have lost a little faith. It was because of your readings that I held on to mine.
Oh,
Because
wow.
I would always think, I know she's been right about everything so far. Why would they take her on this
Why
journey?
would they
only to
give me
be,
bad intel? Yeah.
and it wasn't like, oh, like you weren't having hits all along the way. And then that moment, I felt like, don't worry, wait for it. I actually was pretty calm in that moment.
Wow. And let me tell you something. I honest to God feel, and I haven't really looked, I think you've been saying the same thing, but that the Senate's going to take, the Democrats are going to take over Congress and the Senate.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, absolutely. And I keep feeling like there's a switch in the Speaker of the House. As far as the Democrats getting it, it might even be right before the election, because I don't know. I know a lot of people are like saying, no, it'll be after the election, but for some reason I'm getting a switch up of where they
You
might
know
use
what's
the
going to
numbers.
happen? I got this hit the other day and I was going to talk about it. What is going to happen is Trump is really falling apart, especially April, May, June. I mean, it's awful. It's going to be so bad that people are really going to freeze right there. They're going to say, uh-oh.
Mhm.
And so what will happen is you're going to get some Republicans tell the Democrats, go ahead and put your guy up and we'll vote for him.
Mhm.
They don't need that many more. What, 2 more votes and
Right.
he'll be in?
That's what I'm feeling like, when the people in Congress either have to resign or like some shakeup's going to happen right before. I almost feel like he gets in by default, like he's going to get in anyway, just let him go in, like that kind of feel.
Right. And the other thing is that Jack Smith is going to, as soon as he's done with this January 6th thing, he's going to go crazy. He's going to hit all those people that were insurrectionists.
Yep. I'm just getting that now, because I've been trying to do like deep dives on each month in 2024. And I'm just getting to the part of the story where he's doing that, where all of a sudden everything's blowing up. As far
What
as
month was that?
It was starting in August.
Okay.
And I feel like we're just starting, like indictments going out and things getting, and that is more the House and the Senate. Now, I know timing isn't exact, so this could happen a little
timing
before
can,
or a little after.
I've had things happen a year from something.
Yeah. But when I asked about that month, I was getting a shakeup more with that January 6th stuff in related to Congress and the Senate. The people that, everybody's always asking about, MTG, all those people, they're like, when are they going to be held accountable?
They will.
They will. And I feel like it's right in that August, September period is when he's going to start going nuts.
Yeah, because all these people that you think, Roger Stone and Bannon and stuff, trust me, TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok. Absolutely.
But
Yep.
It's interesting. I'm watching a show on PBS right now called Nazi City. Did you see that?
I haven't seen that.
Well, Rachel Maddow talked about in our Washington, D.C., the Nazis, Americans trying to take over, doing some underhanded things. And that it's amazing how Henry Ford was one of the worst anti-Semites around. But they were making camps and everything all over the United States in the 1930s to indoctrinate children into Nazism. They didn't like Catholics and they didn't like Jews.
Right. I'm not surprised by that, though. I'm not surprised at all.
It was so interesting. And then when our president came in, Roosevelt, he had the FBI look at it and they said, yeah, but he didn't do much about it. They said, yeah, this is going on because he hated communism. So they didn't like communism either.
That's right.
But our America is that way now.
I know. And I was going to say about Roosevelt, I mean, he allowed the Japanese internment camps to exist.
Right.
Which,
he did that thinking he was protecting them. But that didn't take away the fact they took all their properties. They took their money, their houses. Because there was so much violence against anyone that was Japanese. When my father was young, he said the saying was, a dead Jap is a good Jap or something. That's how they talked.
That's how they talked.
And my dad couldn't wait to turn 18 to go into the military. And then the war stopped and he was all upset.
Yeah, it was rough. We have a family member, my husband's uncle, who died in Japan, prisoner of war. So, yeah, I mean, we've heard it through the family. That family couldn't even talk about it, that side of the family, the loss of that brother. You know,
Yes,
it was that painful and what they did. I mean, they did horrible things, but horrible things were done in war.
it's
So,
terrible. Yeah, we lost a member in Normandy.
mm,
We went
that's
out
tough.
to Normandy, my sister and I, and got to stand by his grave, and they give you flags and all that stuff,
Mhm.
but yeah, there's a lot of them have re-evolved. I don't know if you believe in reincarnation, but a lot of them have taken other bodies.
Oh, I believe.
So I wanted to hit, thank you guys for your questions. I wanted to hit on Texas.
Yeah,
Now, you know, they're refusing to follow the Supreme Court.
right.
They're saying, nah, we don't need to follow it. Interesting. The Supreme Court got rid of Roe Wade. And it's like, yes, and we'll add to that. We're going to put so many restrictions. Yeah, they don't got a problem with that. But if the Supreme Court says, no, you can't put those wires that kill people, oh, then you got a problem.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I see the president of the United States calling in some big force, could be the Air National Guard, but I see them going in and just forcefully taking those wire things out. What do
I'm
you
gonna
see?
I'm gonna pull some cards, and I had done a soul writing session before this. Um, they said we were going to talk about, and I wrote keywords of war, fire, overthrowing, and anger were like some of my keywords. I kind of go nuts over here. So I wrote this down, and I got the Knight of Swords, and
Okay,
they
that's
said,
military.
yep, and we were gonna talk about issues of war. And it also said that we were in an in-between moment where we really have to think about our decision. We can't be impulsive, they said, concerning this Knight of Swords and this action. They said, stand in your power, it's time to take action, but be careful about like, you know, when you make a quick decision,
Yeah,
because
but
that's
that's something Biden doesn't do.
and that is something Biden doesn't do. So I'm just hoping, I'm gonna put out some cards right here,
Okay.
that there aren't any outside triggers, you know, because you know them with domestic violence. And so that would be the only thing I could think of where someone had to make a quick decision that they
Well,
might
you know,
regret.
and everybody talks about civil war. Hello, we've got helicopters and jets that could blow out a whole town of insurgents. I don't
Yeah,
understand why they think they're good
I
with that.
don't even know
Oh, you
exactly.
use Morgan Greer too.
I do.
It's
And
one of my
I bought
favorite
these
decks.
cards after I saw you for the first time. I swear to God. Swear. And I just
Blame
thought
me.
about that just now. That's so funny that I'm using because I rotate my cards every week. All right, so here we are. I got that Nine of Cups reversed with the world.
So
You
be
know what?
careful what you wish for.
Yeah, it's kind of be careful what you wish for, but this is like for me, I'm feeling more completion with this. So we're gonna like kind of, they're showing me a bow, like we're gonna tie up this, no problem. I think that's what they mean by it. Like, let's just tie it all up. We're gonna complete this pretty quickly. I'm getting a quick response. That might go with that Knight of Swords. And as far as, are they gonna go in? Yes, for sure. Here we
Yeah.
got that Two of Wands. We're kind of looking here. There is a sense of unbalance for a while, though. I do get the
Oh, they're
Temperance.
going to be furious. Yeah.
Yeah. So there's going to be a lot of emotion about this. You know, this is the Three of Swords is reversed at the end. So it's going to be, like they said, we're going to tie it all up. We're going to like fix it all up. But the emotions, look at the Devil card here as a clarifier.
Yeah.
So I kind of see these two as going together. This will be the aftermath, but I feel like it's a more emotional thing with that lack of balance. I don't think it's like, oh, they're rebelling or blowing things up. I feel like this is more emotionally, they're kind of, how do I want to say, charged up. Like I get
Right.
this feeling like, let's get them. They can't stop us, you know, like
Yeah.
let's like plan B, you know, like I almost get like that feel in Texas. But I think that's kind of how they are all the time now. Like it seems like every time we put them in their place, they're like cannot, you know, coming together. What else can we do? You
Like
know,
ants.
so
Yeah.
that may be what the aftermath is. It's so I guess you could say, yes, it's going to be taken care of. Yes, I think with that Knight of Swords I got that they're going to go in. but I kind of feel like it's not calming people down. It's only riling some people up in Texas.
But the fact that the president worked with others and came to a way to deal with the borders, they said beyond their wildest dreams. And then they turned around and said no, because Trump doesn't want it.
I know.
And you know why Mitch McConnell announced it? People are going, Jesus, why is he? I'll tell you why he announced it. And it was on NBC. This isn't a psychic hit. But when that guy said this, I said, true. He said it because he wants people to know Trump was stopping it.
I know.
He wants to give credit where credit is due.
Yep.
So how can Trump run on this? It can be said, you stop this.
Right. Well, you have like all of his people who are just so brainwashed anyway. So, it's one of those things that it's not going to affect them. Even if you expose the lack of logic here, it's not really going to affect them. But I feel like that border thing is really going to be fixed up, because the other thing I wrote here, sometimes I just get lines, and I got help and give refuge to those in need, give. And I like the word refuge. I specifically got that because it made me think of the immigration thing, refuge,
Right.
Like when you need that kind of protection.
Right.
So there is a sense that the universe is getting us motivated to fix
and
that.
I see a whole new thing taking place in 2025. I said this a while ago, that they'll really get some sort of border control going.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely get that. Definitely get that.
But you just can't let little kids die in a wire. They just don't want that kind of thing. That's what they're telling them. No, you can't do this.
Right.
Just like you couldn't take children away from their parents, but they love cruelty. They just love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I will tell you something. And I'm sure you've watched the numbers. Yeah, sure. Trump won. And that was a big open space, New Hampshire. He won, but a third of Republicans didn't vote for him. He didn't get any independents.
Mm-hmm.
So if he's not going to get anybody to cross the line, and a third of those who voted didn't vote for him, and at that he didn't get, not too many people voted, then he's in trouble.
Yeah, he is in trouble. And as someone who lives in New Hampshire now, I have to say this because my voting experience was very interesting. My husband's an independent, but he voted on the Democratic ballot. He wanted nothing to do with that. He's just like, you figure that out yourself. But we noticed that the Trump people in our new county, very loud. They're very like, here we are, Trump, stuff written on their cars and all of that. So you know exactly where they stand. But then I was like, oh, we're in Trump country. So if you're Republican, you're supporting Trump here. But then I found out when I went into like state by county, town by town, no, our town went for Haley, which was really interesting. It just opened my eyes to like what you're saying. Like they just don't have the numbers. And just because they're loud or they write things on their car or they seem scary and intimidating.
And a lot of them don't vote. Yeah.
And they don't vote. And if they do, there's not enough of them. So you'd be surprised. I think people just need to have faith,
Right. And let me tell you something else. Somebody wrote an article about this. Those numbers with Biden failing big time, those were taken for 1,000 people in red states. So it's a fraud. It's not really telling, Obama was real low in the polls too.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you can't trust the polls now. I've never even, I just don't see in a cell phone world where everybody doesn't even answer calls. Like, how are the polls accurate? Like, how are they taking these polls?
Right.
Because most people have a cell phone, and I don't know about you, but unless it's someone on my list, I don't answer the call.
Me neither. I never answer.
So if, people are doing that, who are answering the phones for these polls?
Yeah. Oh, and it's landlines too. Who has a landline?
Who has a landline? Yeah, it doesn't make sense to me. So if you just use logic, I'm thinking to myself, those polls can't represent the majority of people who are voting. They can't.
Right. And when the January 6th happened and Trump was all up into that, and he will be in trouble for that. Those people were just fuming like rabid dogs.
Mhm.
And that got a lot of the, because they really, honest to God, think that the thing was stolen, that the voting was stolen. But because they took so many of them to jail, the interesting point, you might have seen this on my show, I said, take a look at when he goes anywhere. When he's in court in Florida or New York or something, you get a scattered few. But you don't get crowds like before because they don't want pictures taken of them.
Oh, heck no. They realized right then, oh, we could go to jail.
Yeah.
And a lot of people lost their jobs. We knew some
Yes.
people in my old state of Massachusetts that were somewhat local who participated. They might not have been in the Capitol building. I think they ended up retreating, but because they were there, they lost their jobs.
Oh my God. Yeah. Police officers, uh, 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 the military, a lot of military people showed up. I'll tell you, that's why when Biden got into office, he didn't trust the FBI
And he
because a lot
shouldn't.
of them were Trumpsters.
Unfortunately, there was a lot of corruption in all of those areas.
Yeah.
The Secret Service, and you had to really be careful.
Okay, hold on one second. I was just going to. Everybody's bragging about you, by the way. Oh, she's fantastic. I'm so glad you're having her.
That's
Oh,
awesome.
this is interesting. Martha said, will the starving people in North Korea, will the starving people of North Korea ever get rid of their oppressive leaders?
That's a really good question.
That's a good
It's
question.
funny. North Korea has been on my mind lately, just because he's been, kind
Well,
of
he's sending a lot of
favors
nukes to
again.
Russia.
Yeah, and like he's threatening South Korea a lot recently. I don't know what his deal is lately. It's hard to take him seriously, but on the other hand, he is a chaos maker.
Yeah, yeah.
So let's just take a look at those oppressed people.
Okay.
Oh, it's going to take a little while.
Yeah, I feel not quite yet. I
It's
think Kim Jong-un may go down on something.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny. Down on something, and I got the swords on him right here with the Four of Swords. Because here he is, the tyrant, and the swords are on him. And then I've got the Hermit card reversed, which for me can mean extreme isolation. So it's almost like they're ready to get rid of him, but it's going to take a while. I do get some money coming in, but I feel like the people aren't getting it. Does that make sense? Like, so he might be making money in some other way. Maybe it's through these weapons. But I'm feeling like the people aren't getting what they need. Will
Oh,
they
they're
eventually?
starving.
Yeah. And all the money that's coming in isn't going to them. So you're going to have to wait for them to get out. I would answer that question as yes, absolutely. These people are going to get relief, but it's going to take,
Yeah,
like we're
they
taking
will.
years.
Look, I got the 9 of Cups at the
Yeah.
end.
Yeah.
When there's a new beginning. So some sort of battles will take
Oh,
place.
did you get Five of Swords? Because I got Five
Yeah.
of Swords too. Yep. The battle. Yeah.
Yep.
And then right after that, it's kind of like he's isolated, like the swords are on him. So I kind of feel like they're going to have to fight for it. It's going
But
to
you
take
know what?
a
All he
year.
needs to do is show his rear.
Yeah. And
All
he
he
does
needs
that.
to do is
Okay.
act out in some sort of way. He can't threaten us. Well, remember when he threatened Trump and Trump said, come on, Rocket Man.
Yeah.
He
But it's
said,
true.
let's
What are you
do it.
going to do? What are
Let's
you
do
going to
it.
do?
And it's like, then all of a sudden he was real nice to him.
Yeah. And it's funny you said that, because it's just like Texas. We're going to secede from the union because that's impossible. It's kind of like the same thing. You're not in a position of power to say those types of things. The same with Kim Jong-un. You can't forget it.
Yeah. And the other thing is, like Gavin Newsom says, yeah, everybody's upset at California. We pay your bills.
Oh, yeah.
A
You got the
lot of New
largest
York,
economy, right?
California, yeah, we pay the states that are fighting and being insurrectionists, we pay their bills.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Yep, it's true.
okay, so where are we going to go now?
Did you have any other questions?
Well, I wanted to ask about, it's interesting you said overthrown. I don't see any overthrowing in the United States.
I was thinking overthrowing Trump. That's what I was thinking, but
Ah.
that word.
I think we're gonna know. Did you ever see him actually losing as president, or did you see him having to exit before all that happens?
I have him exiting.
Yeah.
I can't, honest to God, and I know other psychics get different things, but honest to God, I don't see him after June. There is, all right, this is what I was seeing. And maybe the timeline shifted because we know about time, but I get the story as Putin. Well, Putin is overthrown. I get Putin is they get him in some way. I don't get him like leaving because of sickness. I get him like they get him.
I
I'll
always
just
saw
leave it at
him
that.
running. Yeah, I
Yeah.
saw him running.
Like possible assassination or something. There's some way he's banished in some way. And they're going through some sort of trials and tribulations because I think they're gonna, they'll still have a strong man in power at first. So there's some kind of chaos there. And then I get everything coming at Trump, like hardcore around the same time, like a lot of the trial stuff and the exposure, and he's not getting the big wins, even though he was fighting before. It's kind of like it all comes up on him. And then I get some sort of a breakdown. They said their physical and mental breakdown are connected.
Okay.
So it's not just dementia. Like there's something else that's happening, like something physical happens, but that also causes a mental breakdown. My viewers said maybe it's a stroke or something like that. I did get heart and stroke as a huge issue. And then
I saw him in the coffin, don't forget.
yeah. And then I get like, he's in this limbo, even up to August. I don't know if he's crossed or not. It was almost like he was deciding whether he wanted to cross. But the one thing that I got is like, he's incapacitated in some way. He's isolated. He's unable to be Trump. And it seems like when I tried to look at the Republican convention in July, I couldn't get anything. It was like nothing. It was as if there were no sound bites. There was no rallying. I couldn't really even focus on who was leading, but I got a lot of sound bites from Biden, sort of pulling us together, like 4th of July speeches, like, this is the time we have to like bring those people, the good, like the so-called good Republicans back into the fold. This is the time to come together. Like it was like a rally speech. And honestly, Linda, I felt like there was a speech on par with the Gettysburg Address. Like, at some point, we would look back on the speech as a pivotal moment where he tried to pull us together and we'd study the speech. And that's what I'm getting. So now that I'm going into August, I keep getting him as sort of a non-entity Trump. So I don't know. What are you getting with that? Do you get him right?
That could very well, I had the dream that he was in the coffin, but Andre, my favorite astrologer, has said his aspects are so bad from April on. And I think he said June was specifically significant because his aspects on his health were just as bad as Matthew Perry. Is that the gentleman that died?
Yeah, that just passed.
He said there's this weird, if you watch the show, he shows that there's this thing that comes together that really, like if he was reading my chart and it showed that, he'd say, Linda, you gotta watch out.
And that's what I got. The month of June was the worst month for his health.
Yeah.
He was struggling before, but I felt like something pinnacle happens in June with his health.
Well, listen, what do you think about this New York case? I think they'll come back with a good money situation. He's going to be furious.
Is that the one with
the one that's going on now? The one that he walked out of? I'm just fighting for my family and for the presidency. And it's like, dude, you had a chance to fight these charges, but you decided not to.
Right. I get that not going well for him at all. I also got was it April? It was March or April. I'd have to go back to double check exactly, but I know it's pretty close. But I get there's a time that they're doing some sort of raids and that there also could be some freezing of assets.
Oh, that's what the New York.
Is that
trust me, they're going to cut him at that is really when
and that's when I get like a split in the Republican Party right there. Like, and maybe this is the so-called civil war thing that people are picking up. I don't get it as a civil war, but I get a split in the Republican Party where they have to choose sides. Like those people who are like, oh, we'll go along. When they realize he's losing his money and, because donors are only going with the money, right? They've got to find the new person because it's all about
And he's
making,
using donated money to pay for his bills.
right.
Mr. Billionaire.
When he doesn't have money and when he doesn't have as much power, it's like this split. And that's when I think all the chaos really starts with the Republican Party. They're not in unity, you know, and
Yeah,
that's
we'll
when
be talking, hey, listen, maybe we won't even have to do YouTube anymore because everything's gonna be on the right track. So
Well,
what do
let's
you
go.
see about Roe versus Wade? Do you see when the new president, well, when Biden comes in and we
You
have
know,
a fat Congress, are they gonna change a lot of those rules? Are they
let
gonna
me
codify Roe versus Wade?
let me ask directly, because I don't think I've ever really asked
Okay,
directly recently anyway, but I'll tell you
yeah,
what I got before that when I get the answer. So is this going to be codified? Let's see what we get. All right.
okay.
I feel yes. Again, this will probably happen after the presidency. When they take over again and you
That's
have
when they're gonna,
Biden, that's when I get it. I don't get it right away. I do get a sense of trying to repair things and being on the journey to, you know, a more logical way of seeing this. And here is the interesting thing, because for me, this is stuck, but this can also be corruption in money. There's something financial here that makes something
they may
stuck.
find out the monies that was given to the Supreme Court, like Kavanaugh.
That's it, because this is corrupt money for me. So
My guides always showed me someone taking Kavanaugh by the shoulder and asking him to go.
that would make total sense, because once that is uncovered, here's the King of Swords and restoring justice at the end, and I do get, whoops, the yes card with the 10 of Cups. So these two are together. I use that as a clarifier. So I don't feel like it's fast though. I don't know how you
No,
feel.
well, unfortunate, but, and then these states went overboard. They
Right.
you can't, not even for rape or incest or anything, you can't, if the child is gonna kill you, you can't have it. They're just going overboard. Like
Absolutely.
when Congress did, when Supreme Court did that, they're all okay. But if the Supreme Court votes on something that they don't like, they're gonna do an Andrew Jackson. I don't
Oh,
have
yeah.
to listen to you. But I'm going to tell you that when that happened with the overturning of Roe versus Wade, I definitely saw, and I told everybody, you might have remembered, I said, they've just awoken a sleeping giant.
Mhm.
And
I agree.
women was always going to be what takes Trump down.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
did. I always thought it
you
was
guys saw that
particularly,
from the beginning.
but I'm now I wonder, is it women?
Women.
That the women are coming forward, even Republican women who don't like the idea that their daughters are going to be stuck with a baby after they're raped.
Right.
I
Did
just
you
see
see
that
that? That article just came out over like 65,000 births related to rape.
to rape in Texas, right?
Yeah, they just came out with those statistics just, I think, the other day.
It's almost like we're living in a cave. These people are just, and they don't realize what a turnoff. Thank God they're really showing their rear, because America's like hell no, hell to the no.
You know, as someone who, I think I'm the only generation that doesn't know a pre-Roe, and I like I think Roe was passed in 72, so I came of age right around that time. So by the time I was able to, you know, technically have children at like 12 years old, I could take care of anything. And
Right.
I went into menopause. This is like so funny, right when this happened
Oh
and
my
they
gosh.
overturned Roe, ironically enough. So I kind of feel like my whole reproductive life has been free. And, you know, I'm 57 years old. I'm a grandma. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know anything else, you know. So for them to say, turn back the clock, turn back a clock to what I don't even remember. Oh, hell
Yeah.
no. I'm not going to have that. I want my daughter and my future granddaughters to live in a world of freedom like I was able to live in.
Right. And,
You know?
when I was in nursing school, I talked to a lot of the elder nurses who had a lot of friends who committed suicide because they got pregnant. And you couldn't be pregnant and be in nursing school.
No,
Yeah.
you couldn't be pregnant at one point and teach school, because I was a teacher and we used to read articles about that all the time.
Jesus.
You know, it's And it wasn't that long ago. That's what people, like, I'm trying to explain to even my daughter, like, this wasn't 1,000 years ago. You've only had the right to vote for a couple of generations.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're not going back. It ain't happening.
Okay. Hey, did you ever see DC and Puerto Rico becoming states?
I don't think
I
I've ever
do see
seen that.
Puerto Rico and DC. I don't know how long it'll be. Nothing's gonna happen until after 2025.
DC and Puerto Rico. DC. Puerto Rico has the best cards.
Oh, okay. So it maybe go first, yeah.
I think in judgment in their favor. Here's DC. This is funny because when I get this card in a reversal, it means like a slow recovery or a slow movement forward. So this is slower for DC. I got the Page of Swords here, so there's some sort of message or fight about that. I don't know. I guess I would have to call DC. I'm not seeing that right now. Maybe that's something that's a little ways down the road, but Puerto Rico looks really good.
Oh, good, good. I've always saw Puerto Rico get their citizenship. So
Yeah.
listen, I don't know. I have to look at your stuff, but we knew the Satan wasn't going anywhere, right? Ron DeSatan.
I always got and Nikki Haley too. I never got Nikki. As soon as she went into the ring, I said, no.
Yeah, but she's a thorn in Trump's side, which is good because his blood pressure's through the roof.
Yeah, that's always a plus.
But Kerri said him and his wife, and I told everybody, whatever you do, do not give money to them for Hurricane Ian, because they will not give it to the people that are entitled to it. Will anything ever come up on that? People are still waiting on water and power.
And this isn't in Florida.
This
for
is
the money from the hurricane. Hurricane.
I see somebody investigating it. Look at this. Hell to the yeah.
Oh wow, yeah.
There's an investigation. I'm telling you, Ronnie's going down. The world will watch, and he has to offer it back to the
I was gonna say, I got karma here for him, and here's the judgment card.
Right.
So there's definitely going to be a judgment. You know, the thing is, though, one of my final cards here is the Five of Pentacles. And I also get the Lover's card reverse. So I don't know if this is some sort of partnership or deal. I don't know.
Or is it him and his wife on the hush hush?
Oh, I didn't even think about
But listen, somebody on the news said, let me tell you something very true. DeSatan stood down because he wasn't getting a drop of money. He had no more money. So I wouldn't doubt if he dipped into that.
Yeah, I'm almost wondering if this Five of Pentacles is for him. Kind of like, I don't see him in a good place. The first two cards are about judgment against him. Okay. And I've always felt with him this sense that he was just literally going to disappear into obscurity. I know that sounds weird. Like 50 years from now, you'd be like, who? Ron DeSantis? Like in the footnotes of history, you're not even going to remember his name.
Right. So, and all the damage he did to Florida, people are just snapping at the bit. They can't wait for him to go.
My son actually went down to live in Florida this year. And we were just like, you want to? But he was like, yeah.
My friends are from California and they went to Florida, not politically into it, but they said they just didn't like Florida. They didn't like the energy there.
Yeah. Yeah. They've gone through some rough times down there.
So tell me what you want to, was there another question you wanted me?
Well, I wanted to look into your court hit. And you had that dream.
Okay, someone told me that the Supreme Court was getting in big trouble.
Okay. The Supreme Court was going to get in big trouble. I just wanted to see if there was something coming up with the Supreme Court.
Let's look at the Supreme Court.
Yeah.
Now, I know Thomas is going. When, I don't know, but I can see him going. I think when Biden wins again, a lot of people are like, oh, Jesus. And you know what? How could they not know that they're losers? They're all going to lose.
I know. It's like going down with the ship.
With a guy that wears diapers and lies all the time.
See, here's my secrets card. So you got all the secrets coming up. I get this card for me can sometimes be a summons. It can be an investigation when I get the 3 of Pentacles. And it's funny, it's the dark money card in the original deck.
Oh, yeah, they're definitely going to investigate
And the
that.
overflowing of abundance, but we're kind of like looking at it and because it's upside down. That's the next thing. It's the dark money. And I know this is weird with the 4 cups. I just got 4 justices. 3 definitely that would be investigated. I feel like the other cup is one that's kind of like on the fence. And I know that's a big number, but I kind of feel like, oh, that's the next thing, that there is some sort of
I've always seen the makeup of the Supreme Court changed when Biden was in office. So it's
Yeah.
got to be the new season. And the other thing is they will have limits on taking any money. They're going to make them step up to the plate.
No, I'll ask you a question about this. This is just like a question, because I know that I have people around me who would be like, oh, if you stack the court, they can't do that because then the other side could keep doing it and it would be out of control. How do you think the people are going to react to that overall when they make those
Well,
changes?
I don't know if he's going to stack the court. I think he's going to replace several justices.
So just replace
One
it.
is definitely sick. One is definitely getting ready to exit because of health reasons.
Yeah.
And then there's an investigation going on where compromise is made. Like, tell you what, I'll go ahead and step down and don't try to, I don't know, but it's some sort of compromise is made.
Yeah.
So then we'll have justices we like.
I'm getting Roberts, believe it or not, might step down.
Oh, I feel like he's not well either. I've been feeling that for a while.
Been getting
He
health
was
hits
having
on him.
seizures for a while.
I haven't gotten that, but I did get a feeling like he was going to step down.
But his wife was making money hand over foot thanks to the court. Him and Thomas and Kavanaugh.
Yeah,
Big time money.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
You can't do that and they're the worst. They got the worst rating in the world.
Yeah.
But listen, girl, can you believe we've been on 50 minutes?
Oh my God, that went by really fast.
I know. So you had a message from your
people? Did. I have this final message. And I think this has been the theme that my guides have been giving us, because I think we're getting to the point where there are going to be a lot of lost Republicans, people who went along or really believed. And I also had gotten a previous message about Republicans in the House and the Senate who they might not have committed crimes, but their crime was not standing up
when they knew they should.
Something when they knew they should have.
Because Liz even said Republicans are coming up to me left and right saying, thank you. Oh, but we can't step away or our career is over with.
Right. And I feel like coming up, this message is for those people, for us. It says, the sinner and the saint are 2 sides of the same coin. Remember, we are all one, the sinner and the saint. We are not superior in the presence of other people's weaknesses and frailties. It is not the time to flaunt moral superiority in the face of suffering. One religion isn't better than another. One nation isn't better than the other. There are many paths, many roads, many unique journeys to enlightenment. This is the time to release yourself from your fears, both individually and collectively. And basically, I keep getting that message of we need to embrace those that were lost. And I've been getting that consistent. And I had said to you previously, I'm just the messenger. I don't necessarily live that truth yet. I struggle with it. Like, what? Forgive those people? How could I do that?
Remember when I used to do the readings and my guide said, you got to get off the Trump train. You got to get off talking trash about him. I'm like, what? They said, Linda, what you do is you go into a state of resistance. Everybody, as we phobic about him, we create damage for ourselves.
Right.
That which is likened to itself is drawn. So we can't draw in peace and happiness unless we vibrationally think it. And that means excluding him out of the picture.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, that's a beautiful message.
That was the final message. So
I love it, girlfriend.
Well, thank you so
thank
much.
you. So you guys be sure to subscribe to her channel. And it's Tarot Soul Writer is your channel, right? And then to reach it, tarotsoulwriter.com.
kerri.com, and you can book a reading and see some of the other things that I'm working on right now.
Awesome. You're doing a great job, my friend.
Thank you so much,
You
Linda.
keep on keeping on, girlfriend.
I
And you
will.
be sure to invite me to one of your shows too.
Absolutely.
All right. Bye, you guys. Take care.
Bye-bye.
Cheers.